Well, boys, we made it.
We made it?
We did. Kind of.
Where'd we go?
Well, believe it or not, this is episode 100. The big
Wow.
100, baby.
No way.
Yes.
We did it.
I know. It's crazy.
100 episodes.
Okay, Dr. Evil. Very nice. Dr. Evil making a special appearance here on the 100th episode of the Throwing Bagels podcast. Welcome in, Jason, Kevin.
Hello.
Hello. Always a pleasure. A pleasure. And it is a pleasure to have our next guest as well.
And
our
hold
100th
on.
episode.
Did we introduce Chris? Chris.
I don't think so.
Chris,
Oh, I'm
Chris
sorry.
is with us here. Hi, Chris.
I'm
All right,
here
now
too.
you can go. Go ahead.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So, as I was saying, it is a pleasure to have this guest as our 100th episode guest because he's a friend of the show. We've had him on a few times. He's with the Bleacher Report covering the Buffalo Sabres. You can find him on Noted Hockey as well. None other than Joe Yerdon. Joe, welcome to episode 100.
This is truly a momentous occasion, and I cannot believe I'm here for episode 100. Holy smokes, this is awesome to see that you guys are have been doing this so well to get to 100 because man, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of talking. It's a lot of hot tea with honey, you know.
It sure is. And Joe, of course, you're joining us from our neighbors to the north, up in Montreal, in Quebec.
It's true. Yeah, I got to take the tour of I-81 North past all the fun exits contained within to get up here. So crossed at Ogdensburg to go on the ricketiest bridge known to man. So
Yes.
so yeah, but it's nice to do it when there's not feet of snow falling like what happens during the regular season. Holy smokes, man.
And also the most boring drive from the time you get over the border to Montreal. Like the worst.
It's as bad as I-90 can be and as bad as 81 can be. The 401 in Canada is right there with it. It is not a joy.
So, Joe, let's get into this now. So, if we told you in the preseason that the Buffalo Sabres would be in the middle of the second round of the NHL playoffs, you'd tell us that we're crazy, right?
I would have a lot of questions. And the biggest one would be what the hell happened? It would either be I'd either be like what the hell happened or well geez, it's about time because this is like an awakening for this team, this franchise, for everybody there that's been bubbling under the lights for a while, and everything fell into place this year, man. It's crazy to say this now that we're 9 games into the playoffs for the Sabres, anyways. 9 games into the postseason, and I'm still like, wow. I still can't put together how this all came together. I know the story. I know it like the back of my hand now, but I'm still like, holy smokes, these guys did it. Like they got through all of that. They made the playoffs. They won the friggin' division. And now here they are in the second round of the playoffs, something a Sabres team hasn't done since 2007. So
Wow.
it's a lot of stuff where it's just like, holy smokes, I can't believe these guys have done this.
So how did the Sabres get to where they are now? Like, obviously we know what happened. We know GM got fired, and next thing you know, they're like the best team in hockey. But like, how? What? It can't be just a new GM.
No, and it's not. They the way this season began, there were so many parts of it where it was just like, boy, it's going to be another one of those years where they're going to be okay. They're going to show you signs of life, and they're going to be a team where it's just like, boy, if everything breaks right, if everything they put it together, maybe they can squeak in as a wild card. Like that, it felt like it was going to be another one of those seasons. Last season was one of those. 2 seasons was one of those seasons. And it was looking that way because they were so up and down, so, erratic, so inconsistent that you're just like, all right, man, like, I don't know, if you break to 90 points, and I don't know, maybe things can go well and you get in the postseason. Instead, it was like a breaking point for this team. And it happened while they were out in the middle of a 6 game road trip that started in Philly, went to Winnipeg, and then headed out west, Western Canada. And they lost 7-5 to Calgary after losing to Winnipeg, losing to Philly. And this was a road trip where it was like, boy, if they don't pull at least 8 points out of this, playoffs are going to be real hard to get to because the East was it was a slaughterhouse. Their division was evil. Everything about it was just like, boy, if this hole gets any deeper, this isn't going to be good. And then they lose the first 3 games of that road trip, and you're like, all right, well, if they can win the next three, they're going to be back in the same spot they were when they left. And I don't know, keep pushing that cart down the road. And losing 7-5 to Calgary, giving up 7 goals to a Calgary team that didn't score goals, period. Mind you, they lost, what, 5-1 to them a couple weeks prior to that at home, which was like, how do you do this? Like, this team stinks. How do you lose to this team? And losing twice to Calgary was the thing where everybody just said, all right, let's air it out. So everybody had a chance to air it out. The players with the coach. Liddy Ruff talked about how like he had a meeting with the leadership guys. They had some very honest discussions, which when you translate it means they all yelled a lot at each other. And then the players got together and said like, all right, listen, we got to do the same kind of honest thing with each other. And as Rasmus Dahlin has now kind of famously within Buffalo put it, we sat around and drank beers and we got over it, which I'm just like, hell yes, brother. That's how you do things. But
such a guy thing to say, too.
it's the most guy thing to say, honestly. And so from that point, they go from 0-3 on that road trip to 3-3 because they beat Edmonton in a game that honestly helped pull them together because Colton Ellis got run in that game and injured. Alex Lyon comes in. They got screwed over on a couple of different calls, including an icing play that somehow the officials botched, which I don't know how you missed that, but they beat Edmonton. They beat McDavid, even though McDavid went, superstar on them in the third period. And they win that game. They beat Seattle. They beat Vancouver. They come home, and then they fired Kevin Adams because they were like, well, we're not firing him on the road. We don't want to pay for his ticket home. So, so we're like, well, we'll get him home and then be like, all right, pack your stuff, man, get out of here. But it started before they fired Adams, although you could theorize that his job was just about done after they lost to Calgary. But from that point on, they've been this incredible team since then. Everything they do works. Everything that they're doing works right. They play like a normal good NHL team. They have good goaltending, a great room, superstar players. Like all of it is just kind of like, oh, well, they've arrived. Here they are. And now here we are in the second round of the playoffs with the Sabres, and it spins your head because it's just been so much, and yet like the schedule didn't allow anybody any time to process anything because it was just game. You can't just like dissect anything.
So it happens with the Olympics or during the year, and
Yeah.
the Ranger fans felt the same way about Drury, except the season never would have turned around the way it did for Buffalo if they had fired him.
Listen. I don't know how Drury got an extension after last season.
Neither do we.
I thought he was as good as gone. But when the owner likes you,
So
contracts keep coming, man.
Dolan has that mentality. He's like, I like you. You're just gonna stay around forever.
Yeah, and Dolan doesn't want to focus on the Rangers. He's like, you got this. All right, fine. I got the Knicks to worry about here.
Right, exactly.
You mentioned the turnover at the top with Kevin Adams being let go. Was Lindy Ruff's job in jeopardy at all at any point during that early part of the season?
Depends on who you want to believe. Honestly, after that Calgary loss, it was the ripe time for rumors of any kind, and the speculation at that time was, gosh, I can count about 3 different stories off the top of my head of what might happen. And the thought was like, well, they won't do it on the road. They'll do it when they come home. And if they come home going 1-5 on that trip, anything could happen. And I don't think any of it resulted in Lindy getting fired and just gone. Him getting reassigned within the organization, moving up to a different role, like XYZ things. Because I think Terry Pegula did not want to have probably the embarrassment of firing a franchise legend twice. Like that would
Yeah.
you're getting into George Steinbrenner, Billy Martin territory. Even when you do it more than once, you're already referencing Billy Martin at that point. Um, but it was the sort of thing where I think Lindy's in control, and it was like, all right, well, we're not gonna upset him. Let's figure out other things to do. But I don't think his job was necessarily in jeopardy, but it would have meant like a restructuring of who's going to run this. And if that change had ever happened, I think you're talking about probably another few years without playoffs because you're talking about a rebuild at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's talk about the city of Buffalo itself. The Bills, they've had some pretty good seasons, but just haven't been able to reach where they need to go. Win a Super Bowl with Josh Allen. Uh, I mean, the Sabres have. I mean, it's the first time probably about 20 years they've been any good, and in the playoffs, and can they get there? Who knows? But what does it mean to the city of Buffalo? What does it actually mean for their sports franchises to be this good?
It's been such a hardcore Bills town now for a few years, because, thanks to Allen and thanks to Sean McDermott, frankly, getting that team into a spot where they're a contender every year. You have a freak show quarterback who's one of the best players in the NFL. Like that's going to take you a long way. But the problem with the Sabres was that it was Buffalo's always a Bills town, no matter what. Like football's king. Any city that has football, football's king.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But what got lost along the way with the Sabres being bad or inept or mismanaged or all of it, frankly, was that Buffalo's a big Sabres town. And that was a drum that I beat for years. I said, if they win games, the fans are going to be back. They're going to be there. Because I think of my first few years on the beat there, I started in 2013-14, and those teams, I covered two of the worst teams I've in hockey history in 13-14 and 14-15. Teams that were designed to lose, teams that were meant to lose. And boy, did they lose. They stunk. They were really bad hockey teams. And, the payoff there was meant to be, well, 14-15, obviously, they were trying to get Connor McDavid, win the lottery, get McDavid, change the franchise forever, which it would have. The butterfly effect of what happens with that franchise if they win the lottery and McDavid is an Oiler or is a Saber, not an Oiler. He is an Oiler, but if he's a Saber for life, everything's completely different from that point on. But the way things played out, like they still drafted really good players. Sam Reinhart was a really damn good player, is a really damn good player. Jack Eichel's a really damn good player. Um, and everything was meant to be built around those guys, which in a nutshell made sense. Like they're great players. They're great players now, and they both won Stanley Cups. So like, what are you gonna do? But it was everything was just such you know a different GM every 2 years, a different coach every 2 years. Ownership having to make a statement every 4 years about, oh, we're doing our best. Like that kind of stuff does not inspire anybody. You keep spinning your wheels in the mud for all those years. You're collecting other lottery picks and either picking poorly or you're waiting for them to evolve to some point. All of that stuff means you're not winning games. And when you're not winning games, people are like, well, I was told the winning was going to start soon. And then it never happened. And people were just like, you know what? You've sold hope long enough. We don't stop with the hope. We don't, just win some games. And they got to that point, I want to say about 6 years ago, 6, 7 years ago, where fans were just like, well, just win. That's what we're here for. We're here for a winning team. And wins didn't happen. And fans were just like, all right, call us when you're good. Actually, we'll call you when we're good. And they got good this year, and everybody started calling. They sold out the last, gosh, 15 games, 15 home games of the season. Fans were back with a fervor, and the jerseys are flying off the shelf. Every bit of merchandise you could imagine is flying off everywhere. Every t-shirt company maker in the city was making Sabre shirts, all of this stuff because the team was suddenly a lot of fun to watch and winning regularly. And it's just kind of like, oh, that's all it took? Yeah, that's all it took, guys. And now you have two winning teams. The Sabres got good enough to a point where the Bills would try to make news, which would always push the Sabres to the
Mm.
background, but the Bills would do something, and everybody's like, "Shut up, get out of the way. We're focused. Please, just get out of here." And I've never been witness to that ever in Buffalo in 13 years. So to see that happen where fans are just like, "Okay, Bills, yeah, we know you're here. Okay, great. Like you fired your coach. Yeah, whoop-de-doo. Awesome." All of that stuff was just like, "Oh, you guys are in. You guys are in now." So um to have that kind of weird dichotomy where the Bills are a championship contender. They are like they don't play like it in the playoffs eventually, but like they are to get them pushed aside by the fans, be like, hey, the new kid's here. We want to pay attention to the new kid is crazy. It's frankly crazy, but um it's wild to watch all of this happening at once because like, oh man, like it's a sports town based on the Bills stuff, but to have everybody coming out the way they are for the Sabres is just kind of like, oh man, this is Buffalo at its peak where everybody's on board for everything. And like, I'm not a Bills fan, I'm not a Sabres fan, I'm not any of that stuff, but like watching it is very heartening to watch, especially for Sabres fans because they've been through some hell. They've been through hell and beyond for so long, and to have everybody be like, finally, it's Andy Dufresne coming out of the pipe. It's all of that stuff. It's great to see.
So after the season ends, late June, the NHL draft is going to be held in Buffalo and
Mhm.
June 26th, 27th. So obviously Gavin McKenna seems to be the consensus number one pick, most likely. Toronto somehow got the first pick in the draft. Um, what do you think? Who do you look at as? Do you think McKenna will be the first pick? Do you think who do you look at as like some of the top players? And I was just telling the guys because I just read this earlier today and it blew my mind and I really felt really old that Manny Malhotra's son is in this draft. And I was like, oh my Lord. Like now I'm old. This kid is like 18, 19 years old or something like that. Malhotra was drafted in 96. And is he way better than his dad?
I think I think he's way better. His dad was a really good player, but I think his son's got a little bit of a step on him, a little bit more offensive game, a little bit more going on there than maybe Manny had. I mean, Manny was a face-off god for years there, especially when he went to Vancouver. I remember covering him in the 2011 Cup final with the Canucks against Boston, and that was that was a really cool. It was really cool to see him there. Also, that was the year I learned he was um, connected to Steve Nash because I saw Steve Nash after one of the games like walk through the hallway, and I did that. I did the dumbest thing, like one of the dumbest things ever, where I see Steve Nash and I go, "Whoa, that's Steve Nash," and I'm like, "Why did I was just like stood there. I go, why did I say that? What are we doing here? Like, act like you've been there, man." Um, but it's like I'm talking to like NHL star players like every day, and then I see Steve Nash, and I'm like, whoa, holy cow. Um, but yeah, Manny's son. Listen, I'm glad you're finally having this experience, Jason, because every year I have to go down. I go through the list of guys that come to the combine because the NHL draft combine's in Buffalo every year too. So you go through the list and you see a last name and you're like, oh no, wait a
Yeah, I've
minute,
seen some other guys, but yeah.
is that so and so as a kid? And then sure enough, it's almost always so and so as a kid. Like even on the Sabres team, like Matthias Samuelsson, that's Kjell Samuelsson's
Yeah.
kid. It's like, okay, great. And like you get to know, like, I've known Matthias now for years, and it's just, you forget about that he's Kjell's son, and it's like, right, okay. So like when the Flyers come to town or something like that, and Kjell's in the play, I'm like, whoa, Kjell Samuelsson. I'm like, what's he? Yeah, yeah, I know why he's here. I know exactly why he's here. It makes sense. But yeah, McKenna's probably going to be the number one pick. I would be really surprised the Leafs don't take him. Stenberg is the other kid to keep an eye on. He's probably
Mhm.
going to go number two. Those two are really far ahead of the rest of the class as far as like what they've done this year and how what they've done projects to the NHL level. They're both really good. I think it's good for like depth, but I don't know that like you're going to get a ton of superstar talent
Mm.
necessarily, which seems negative, but it's not because you're still going to get really good players in that first round. Um, but like even with McKenna, like he had a put up a ton of points at Penn State, had some really great moments, but the thing that sticks out with guys that play college hockey, especially guys who are 17, 18 years old, they're playing against really a lot of older guys who are, 20, 21, 22, 23 in some cases where that's hard living, man. Like you're talking about a guy who's a teenager playing in like a men's league, and it's just like, ooh, okay, that might be in for a rough ride here. And some of because McKenna was watched so closely, and it's Penn State, so it's high profile anyways. A lot of those flaws in his game as a teenager are stick out because these teams are so well coached and they're so, playing in the Big Ten. You're talking about Michigan, Michigan State, Minnesota, like all, Wisconsin, all these schools that are really great at hockey, which Penn State is also really great at hockey. Um, but those teams can find flaws and they can find things to expose, and they're also teaming over with talent. So it's really hard, but I think that makes that road for McKenna really good because he's seeing the best of the best like pretty much every weekend. And if he's still putting up a ton of points, but like there are things to get worked on, I think that's fine. You can still take him number one and then figure it out from there. Problem with the Leafs is that they have, as we discovered this season, they've got a lot of problems. So they've got a lot of stuff to get figured out in the long run themselves.
So how the draft will be held in Buffalo this year? How often is it held? Is it held there?
It's well, the draft is weird now because it's decentralized, like the NFL
Oh,
draft is
yeah.
now.
Okay.
So it's not quite the big league convention that it used to be. Now it's every team does all their stuff at their home headquarters, which I
Mm,
think even the Sabres are going to do stuff from the Bills headquarters in Orchard Park, which they did last year because the draft was in LA. So they're just like, well, the Bill, team synergy kind of stuff, like
Mhm.
whatever, it's fine. But I don't know that they've confirmed that yet, or if it's gonna be, or if they're gonna do that. But I'd be surprised if they went back and just held it, did their stuff in the arena, because what's the
mhm.
point? Like, there's nobody there to do anything in the arena. It's just the kids coming to the stage, and it's all thing for TV.
Uh,
Um, but the draft was in Buffalo in 2016, which coincidentally enough, the Leafs also picked first that year and took Austin Matthews. So if I'm the Sabres, I don't want the draft take to have the draft anymore because Toronto's probably going to get the number one pick out of it because they don't want that. But especially with a potential, uh, lifetime franchise superstar player and going number one on the board. Only question this time, whereas Matthews was a no doubt he was going number one no matter what. McKenna, because of everything we talked about before, may or there's an argument to be had, but I think it'd be kind of goofy if he doesn't go number one, unless you know weird stuff comes out later on that makes it that you don't want to take him number one. But maybe he doesn't do enough chin ups or something at the combine. I don't know, but I think you live with it and just say like, all right, well, we'll get him in the weight room, he'll be fine. But I'd be surprised if McKenna doesn't go number one. But yeah, it's been 10 years, and I think the previous time the draft was in Buffalo before that was 2003. And I believe the Sabres took Thomas Vanek with their first round pick that year. So not a bad year. Sabres took Alex Nylander in 2016. That was what this was one of those drafts where it was like, the future could have gone a lot differently had you have taken Mikhail Sergachev, Jacob Chikrin, Charlie McAvoy. Like any of these guys went after the Sabres picked, and it was like, boy, future could have been a lot different if you'd taken literally anybody else.
I do have a very important question to ask. So
Yes.
Uh-oh.
let's talk about KeyBank Arena. Let's talk about the concessions here. So can I just talk about the beer saber? That was insane.
It's dude, it's an incredible phenomenon because when it got unleashed, it got unleashed about the same time the Sabres started taking off. So a lot of people were like, "See,
Ah.
You let us get really wasted at games, and then the team started winning.
So,
As
for the listeners out there, the beer saber was basically a plastic sword, and they filled it with beer.
Yes. And then you
That's
have to drink it,
yeah,
like tip it way back
yeah.
and try to not wear 75% of it, basically.
So
It's
I mean, I
it's
imagine that you get enough beer sabers, and they're going to be empty plastic swords, and that
that's
tends
right.
to work out well.
That's right.
Fortunately the team did well, because
Yeah.
otherwise you're looking at a Simpsons moment where you're saying like, "Oh, here come the beer sabers," like just littering the ice after a disgraceful performance. But no, it was the kind of thing where it was meant to be like a limited time
Mhm.
thing. Like they were going to do it for a few games and then call it a day. But fans went so bonkers for it. Like fans were lining like because the arena only opens up at a certain time, but like
Mhm.
stands that were selling them were just kind of like, all right, listen, we're opening up and get in line, and if you get one, you get one. They started putting like the Disneyland clocks online for people to be like, from this point on, it'll be 20 minutes till you can get a beer saber. And I'm like, that's you want to describe Buffalo sports fandom in
Yeah.
a moment, like that's pretty spot on.
Beer
How
sabers.
many could you
Yes.
buy at one time? Could you
That's
buy
a good question.
could you buy more than
And
one?
it might have been one. I think they had to limit it to one per person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't go
Um,
double saber. I mean,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
I mean, you never know. How many times did they use them against Maple Leafs fans when the
Oh,
Maple Leafs
great
fans came to
question.
the game?
well, here's the thing: the beer saber was such a prized possession that nobody was using them in a malicious way that could break the beer saber.
Yeah.
Because, like,
Right.
think about it. Here's how we tie it to Oswego. Think about if the shed had mug night, and instead of a mug, it's a wieldable weapon that you can drink out of. Would you be using it as a weapon, or would you be using it to drink out of,
Oh,
knowing that if you broke it, you had to buy another one?
no, but in
Mm.
Oswego, people would absolutely just start just whacking people with it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
I,
exactly what would happen in Oswego.
You
yeah.
know what? That's a good point. But yeah, but like think of the tragedy that happened when your mug night mug broke by hook or by crook or by drunken nonsense, and you were just like, oh, it's $5 I gotta spend again. Damn, this stinks. Which again kind of puts a time and a place on all of that, where it's like, oh, $5 for a glass and a beer. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of how it was. And then 50 cents a brew after it was pretty good. But you know what, Chris, you're right. Everybody would have been whacking each other with those things. It would have been it would have been mayhem.
I'm gonna go out there and say I never broke my shed mug, just for the record. Never
Oh,
once did it break.
Mr. Humble Brag out here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I don't think I kept mine. I don't know
Oh, I
where.
still have mine.
Yeah, I don't.
I have my pint glass from pint night. I have them all.
You still have what was the frat that had like the blue cups?
Sigton.
Sig
Sigton.
Tau, yes.
I don't know if I have that one. I have my big ass beer cup still though.
Do you really?
Yeah.
That is so great.
That's still
Such
sitting
a-
at my folks' house somewhere. I know that for a fact.
Yeah,
So is my shed mug, but yeah.
yeah. No, I have all that stuff still. Um I mean they don't yeah, unfortunately they don't they're useless because you can't go up to Oswego with it anymore, that's for
That's
sure.
true.
Yeah,
That's true. It's a
no.
relic.
The kids today
Think
would
of
be like,
what you
what's
could do
that?
for think of what you could do for um Oswego parents now if you open up a throwback bar that had
Yeah, right.
What a
all the kitsch and
great
the
idea.
stuff from like back in the day, and like I mean, I'm giving away money ideas here, but
Yes, you
like
are.
all the mugs, all the cups, all the food stuff from back in the day, like all like the different things where it was just like, hey, remember we used to be able to get blah blah blah,
Mm,
bang, right there in the bar, and then it's like, oh, okay, and then it becomes the oldest bar in Oswego because by clientele, not by how long it
right,
was.
exactly. All the students will not go there. It would be perfect because the students won't go there then. Because
It'd
they're
be
like, oh, there's all
excellent.
these old people there.
My
Exactly.
parents go there. I don't know why. It sucks.
Exactly. We'll open it right by where like Buckland's used to be or something.
Yeah. We have to put it on the east side of town just to make sure to, keep everything separated, you know?
That's right. That's right.
Or put it close to the bridge as possible on the west side.
Yeah. We'll take over JS Steamers and just put it in there. We'll
There you
save
go.
the
There you
army.
go. So what's new with noted hockey these days?
Let me tell you, it's it's wild to be in media because doing stuff for yourself is very satisfying. Um, it's equally frustrating because you're trying to figure out ways to monetize it, and the way everything is online now is just so filled. It's competitive, yes. There's a
Mhm.
lot of great writers out there, yes, but there's just so much out there to consume, and you have to be so. Boy, and it's even getting into stuff now where I feel like I'm too old for it. Like stuff like TikTok and stuff like that, where it's like this is your way to market, this is your way to do stuff. And for me, I'm just kind of like all I had to do was go on Twitter, and that's all I had to post stuff, and it was fine. And no, it has to be everywhere. It's gonna be Instagram, it's gonna be TikTok, it's gonna be Twitter, it's gonna be Mastodon, it's gonna be Blue Sky, it's gotta be all these places, Facebook, Threads, you name it.
Yeah,
Like there's
I know.
9,000
I
options,
can't.
and you're like, I'm exhausted. I just wrote like 1,000 words about whatever, and I'm really proud of this, and now I have to spend the next hour link hashtags, put this out, and it's just like I want to rip my hair out. I don't have any left to rip out, but I want to rip the rest of it out. And it's just, oh man, it's tough. It's really tough, but it's when you've been doing it this long and you've been after it and you're an accomplished, kind of pat myself on the back here, but you're an accomplished professional at this and you're been doing this for well over a decade at this point. Yes. I'm almost like, is it 2 decades yet? No, not yet, um but you've been after it so long, and it's like this is what you know, and it's like, all right, well, I'm good at it, and you have a fan base. I don't want to say fan base, but you have an audience that is like, we're here with you, we support you, go get it, and that's incredible. Um, but when you want to spread beyond those bounds, it gets really tough because there's so much out there. There is just an intense amount of places you can get your information, get your stories, get all the
Mhm.
stuff, and finding it's not so much about like finding the niche, but like just having the wherewithal to just stay with it because it's equal parts being hard-headed, being good at what you're doing, but also being hard-headed about it to just be like I'm not going to pay attention to the clicks, even though I should be doing that. I'm not going to pay attention to the metrics, even though I should be doing that. Play to the metrics, do all that stuff. No, do good work and things will find its way from there. It's always been my thing. Like as long as you're doing good work, things will work itself out. It's just the way the industry is now, it really tests your patience with that. It really does. And that's a part of it that makes me leery about where things are headed in the future to come here. And with, obviously there's 1,000 different things you could be insert here to be concerned about. But as far as like maintaining, getting, and keeping an audience and keeping them locked in, you just got to hope they really like you is where it comes from. And to just kind of do your thing and then hope that folks can accept that. Honestly, if people view you as like a one person content farm, then it's like, all right, man, like, okay, I'm sorry you don't see me as a person, but okay, like, well, here's a link, go read, thank you. But a lot of times you know, I love the work so much. I love doing this so much. And, even though I'm not somebody who's a bragger about any of this stuff, I feel like I'm very good at it too. So I stick with it, stay at it, and kind of go from there. And, hope, the hope is that it eventually, like, maybe things circle back around and it's like, okay, maybe I don't have to do this as hard, as much of a hustle as I have been over the last few years. But the same point, it's like, well, what would I do with the downtime if I didn't have to do that? I'd probably also go crazy because I wouldn't know what to do with myself.
So when I go to notedhockey.com, what am I seeing? Is it all Sabres or do you cover some other NHL stuff?
So in a normal season that's not compacted by the Olympic schedule and makes it impossible to visit other teams' rooms and whatnot, a normal year means doing stories of, yes, mostly Sabres, but also about important players and coaches and stuff from around the league too.
Mhm.
Some of my some of my favorite stories that I've been able to do have been stuff where I was calling it across the hall, where stop in to the other team's room after a morning skate or a practice day or something like that, and doing a feature on somebody and just talking with them, talking with people, and kind of using not I say using, that sounds terrible, but like bouncing some of this stuff off of Sabres players as well to kind of get like an inside outside perspective on those players to get an idea of like, who they are, what those players are about, and create something fun. A couple of years ago, I did a story on Matthew Tkachuk and how he was great at just driving everybody crazy and like what makes him,
Yeah.
what makes him tick and like what drives opponents crazy about him. And players, hockey players know to not, have bulletin board material at the ready, at any time during the season. But it's always great to kind of read between the lines what a player's saying about another player that they play against and just get an idea of like, ooh, do they really not like that guy? Or is this just like a mutual respect kind of thing? And in Kachuk's case, like I find him very affable. I find he's a great guy, a great interview to talk to. I know he pushes everybody's buttons, believe me. But um, but like doing a story like that was like something where, Sabres fans were very caught off guard. They're like, I hate that guy. And I'm like, I know, and here's why. Where it's nice to be able to be like, listen, I know you hate that guy, but let's dig into that a little bit. Let's talk about like why that player makes you so mad, like and get into things like that, and being able to talk to players on those teams about guys on the Sabres as well, like when Tage Thompson really broke out and became a regular 40 goal guy, and getting using some of those past connections, like talking to Sam Reinhart and saying like, hey man, like what were your impressions of Tage? What do you think of what he's doing and all that? And getting great, a great take from somebody who was kind of an older, like a couple years older than Tage, but like not by much. So they were kind of in that same age range, and getting that kind of perspective from somebody who, you used to cover all the time is, it's useful. It's, especially in Buffalo when guys were rolling out of here every 1 or 2 years, there's always a lot of guys that you're like, hey man, I remember you, and you catch up and it's like, hey, I got some questions. So, um, but it's fun. It's fun to do that kind of stuff. I haven't been able to do a lot of that this season just because
Mhm.
it's been teams are coming in and they're like, we're practicing, we're playing, and then we're getting the hell out. And then it's like, cool, would have been fun to write about this guy today, but there was literally no time to do it.
Well, the four of us have one big, I mean, besides being Oswego grads, of course, we were big fans of the men's ice hockey team at Oswego. And of course, when we were in school, Ed Gozik was an assistant coach and then he became head
Yeah.
coach. And recently the word came out that he was retiring after, this past season. So, I mean, Joe, what were your thoughts when you came across the news that Coach Gozik had retired?
It was I was sad to see that he was retiring, but also really happy for him because that's a hell of a
Mm,
career. It
yeah,
was a hell of a long career, and all of us, our time with him goes back to when he was an assistant with George Roll, and George just retired recently as well,
right.
within the last year or so. So, to see both of those guys hanging it up kind of close to each other, I'm sure you guys can agree, kind of puts that little pang of like, ooh, we're getting old here, man. Because like these guys were like pretty fresh into their coaching careers when we were dealing with them while we were in college. So I'm sure they were just like, oh my God, these guys are professionals in other lines of work. Or, when I ran into George Roll at Buffalo a couple of years ago, he was like, what? Whoa, what are you doing here? And I'm like, what are you doing here? Um, but with Eddie, it was anytime I was able to get to an Oswego game, I always made sure to hang out afterwards and try to catch Eddie and say hey and chit chat. And I told him I had to ban myself from going to Oswego games at Buff State because for 2 years in a row, I went the first time I caught him, I was like, oh man, I get to finally do this. I get to be like an alum, show up, root for the road team, get to be a jackass. That'll be great. and it was the first time they ever lost to Buff State in Buff State.
Oh man.
And I was like,
Boo.
oh man, like how does this happen? And I see Eddie and I go, man, that's tough. He's like, yeah. He's like, well, it's not gonna be as tough as I am on these guys when they're skating at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. I was like, well, good point. And I think that season they didn't lose again until I think the Frozen Four, because
Yeah.
they went on. I might have my years crossed up on me, honestly, but they went on a tear after they lost that game, and that team was really good. And like watching them just get their, I mean, Buff State handed it to them. Like that was an old Buff State team that was like a ton of seniors.
Mm.
And those guys were probably really sick of Oswego coming in and slapping them around twice a year. So that was a to call out an old Sports Center ad. That was a Charlie come out and get your whooping kind of game for them. And I think it was 2 years later, because I went to go see him at Fredonia the next season. They beat Fredonia like 11-2 or something. I was like, oh my God, okay, this is cool. And then watched them at Buff State the year after that. They lost again to Buff State. I'm like,
Come
I'm
on.
never coming back here. I'm never coming back. Like this rink is right up the road from where I live. I'm not coming back here to watch Oswego play here. I'm just not doing it. Like I never watched them lose to Buff State ever while I was in school.
Right.
And then I watched them lose to them twice in 3 years. No, I'm not coming back. That's not happening. But as far as Eddie goes, like I, and I don't know if you guys had shared this at all already, and if you haven't yet, that's bad on you. But I remember our rule. I remember our rule on WNYO because we would always interview him between periods. I think it was first and second period.
Mhm.
And our rule was you ask one question, no follow-ups, no nothing, one question, because Eddie's going to give you enough to go on to take it, go to break, and then everybody gets to take a breath for a little bit. And our good pal Dan Mount, and I give him credit because he wanted to ask follow-ups. Because it made sense. And like, listen, the follow-ups made sense. It wasn't like he was just like going stream of consciousness, asking whatever. But Dan would always, every now and again, Dan would ask a follow-up, and Dom and I would just be like, we have 15 minutes in between periods to not be on the headset.
Yeah.
And we just lost 5 of them because Eddie took 5 minutes answering 2 questions, which I'm thinking George is probably like, what are they doing? Get in here. Like, you got to get
Where's
back
Eddie?
here, please.
We're gonna stop letting us talk to him if you keep this up.
Yeah. So it was just always great. And like Eddie, like, listen, Eddie would just give us every bit of everything that was on his mind about the period, which was awesome. Awesome,
Mhm.
awesome, awesome.
Yep.
But it was just like, boy, we could talk to him for 20 minutes and we'd be 2 minutes into the
Easy.
second period by the time this is over.
Well, Joe, we really appreciate your time, but before we get you out of here, we'd be remiss not to ask you. We're going to pull the curtain back here just a little bit. You're a little tardy coming onto the show tonight. You were out to dinner. Did you get into the
Yes.
poutine? Is that what happened? You got into the poutine.
No,
Careful there,
no,
Chris.
no.
Careful there. Careful, Chris.
Poutine, you know what poutine is? Food. It's food.
Oh, it's glorious food. It is fries, it's gravy, it's cheese curd, and the cheese
Wonderful.
curd in Montreal is it's the only cheese curd you can have. It's the best stuff. But no, I did not have poutine. I had
Well, that's just a misstep right there.
listen,
Jeez.
the sad part about us getting older here, Jason, is that sometimes dietary restrictions happen when you get older.
That's fair. That is
All right,
fair.
fine.
I had to be
fine.
mindful of how the gravy's made, and if I gotta ask about how they're making stuff, I'm just gonna avoid it. So, but I no, I was at a place that's like one of the more legendary Italian restaurants here in Montreal, and it's like an old school like hockey place where old school hockey people would always go to. And sure enough, the last 2 times my buddy and I've gone there to eat dinner, we've run into the Sabres coaching staff, and the second time around, we were there. One of the coaches was like, "Oh, you come in here, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, if I catch you in here again, I'll kill you." And I'm like, "All right, all right, all right, all right." Warning served, but did we heed it? No, we went back tonight. So, and we go in and we see some of those coaches were there. We're just like, let's just not draw attention to anything. This is playoff. This isn't like game 32 of the season in January. This is the freaking playoffs. Leave them alone. Like they're here for dinner too. So but we left them alone. But but it's a great restaurant. It is a favorite of ours, and we even had like the same waitress that we had when we were here like back in January. So that was cool. She's like, "Do I know you guys?" I'm like, "Yeah, you do."
As a matter of fact,
Um,
yes.
which I mean, Montreal's a huge city, and it's great to have that kind of like interaction where it's just like, oh my God, yeah, hey, same people. Yep, we love our places too. So uh so yeah, so no smoked meat for me yet. Smoked meat is incredible here. Go to Schwartz's. If you ever go to Montreal, go to Schwartz's. The last time I was at Schwartz's, it was way too long ago, and Luke Robitaille was there. So that kind of sets the table for how things go there. But yeah, no smoke meat, no poutine yet. But if we got to come back up here for a game six, we'll see. We'll see.
Awesome, Joe. We appreciate your time. You made it special. Episode 100. We couldn't have done it without you, man. We appreciate your time, all the times you've come on and shared your knowledge, and we certainly appreciate it.
Well, I'm just happy you guys keep inviting me back. So because it's great catching up with you guys. And one of these days we gotta go to like a Chiefs game or are they still called
Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Syracuse
The
Mets.
Chiefs.
My God.
Excuse
What is it,
me.
1996?
That's how long it's been since Joe has been to Syracuse to watch a
For
baseball
a
game.
baseball game. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Hockey game, different story. We can go crunch games. I've ripped many shirts up in the press level at the War Memorial in Syracuse, but yeah, we'll have to go to I can't they're changing the Mets name, aren't they, in Syracuse?
Yeah,
Like,
it's
isn't that
stupid.
happening?
We don't know what it
We
is
don't
yet,
know what
but
it
they
is
are
yet, but
changing
yeah.
it.
Okay.
Some
Well, it was
ridiculous.
dumb. I know you guys are all Mets fans, but it was dumb when they changed it to the Mets in the first place. So,
Disagree.
Wholeheartedly disagree.
But yeah, we'll have to do that. Either that or I don't know. We'll figure something out, guys. It's been way, way, way too long.
Agreed.
Yes.
Very much agreed. Joe, thank you. Enjoy the poutine in Montreal.
I will, guys. Thanks so much.
And that was Joe Yerdon, a friend of the show, and I mean punctuating episode 100 perfectly, I think. What is Sabres recap and his experience in Montreal so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's good catching up. We what was he, our second guest ever? Right?
Third.
Third
Our
guest.
third
Third.
guest
He was our
ever.
So-
third guest ever.
Our third episode. So first episode we ever did, we were by ourselves, and then we had Brett Axe episode 2, and then episode 3 was Joe. Yeah,
yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Our
Yeah.
first shoot in the breeze was the very first episode.
That's correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Man, 100 episodes, guys.
Yeah,
Holy cow,
man.
man.
That's impressive. You know that now we can go into syndication. Just saying.
Well, it might. You never know.
Exactly.
You know, if anyone wants any episodes, let us know.
All right. Yeah. Do you guys have any I know we've talked about this before, but my favorite episode that we ever did was with Dan Harrington, the director of Harbor Fest.
I know you love that episode. I don't know
Absolutely
why, but you love that
absolutely
episode.
Love that episode, and not only because it was a train wreck, and also
train wreck.
and also Jason thought that the Guess Who was a cover band for the Who.
I'm okay with that. I stand by that. I'm perfectly okay with it.
I think you had mentioned that, Jason, that like aren't they a cover band for the Who? And
He totally didn't even.
he was like, I think he wanted to say something, but he didn't. He was polite.
Yeah, I didn't know. I'd never heard of them before.
Memories.
You know, that's all
fun.
right. Yeah, that was an interesting episode, to say the least.
It was a very interesting episode.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, thanks to Joe for hanging out with us, episode 100. Certainly, we can't do it without the guests that we have on. We can't do it with the folks that listen to us either. So we appreciate your time, giving us however long the episode is, whether it's 45 minutes, half hour, an hour. We appreciate you. We appreciate you listening. So maybe 100 more. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see what the future brings.
I mean, we might get sponsors. You never know.
You never know. You never know.
You never know. You're right. It could happen.
Yeah, it could. It could happen. Hey, listen, we'd be remiss not to mention the Knicks. Huh?
Yes.
The
Yes.
Knicks, man.
Yes.
The Knicks.
Who'd have thunk it?
Oh,
Dude,
baby.
I did. I told you guys they're
You
going to
did.
the final.
You did.
Yeah,
We'll
but
give you
but
credit.
in this manner?
Not in the,
They
no.
have annihilated.
They destroyed
Philly.
Philadelphia. They
Destroyed them.
dismantled them.
Yeah, it was. Oh man, it was so great. It was so. I went to the watch party for Game 3 at the Garden the other night. I took the family with me. The kids were like, "They're saying a lot of bad words." I'm like, yeah, there was a lot of FMB chants going on, and but it was a good time. It was a good time. You know, it was packed. I was pretty impressed the amount of people, and then trying to get outside after the game to get to the train was
Holy cow. Yeah.
Dude, that's got to be a nightmare, right? I mean,
7th
'cause-
Avenue is like a disaster.
dude,
It's just
yeah.
like, but it's good because Leah's small, so she's able to weave in and out of people, and I'm just like following along, holding on to the kids while I'm following along, you know. So it was perfect. She's our lead blocker because she can weave in and
There
out of
you
people.
go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it worked out
so
well.
I've always wondered about those watch parties and how they go. Like, was it like totally full, or was it like
It was
80% full?
So they don't sell obviously the floor seats, but they sell the 100 level and the 200 level, and it wasn't like every seat filled, but it was probably, I want to say 65 to 70, somewhere 65-75% crowded, filled up. I mean, $10 to get in, right? Which, I mean, guess probably just pays the salaries of like the people working there, and then you pay regular price for all the food and drinks. So that's where they make their money. You know what I mean?
Of course. I mean, of course, Dolan would do that.
But you know, it's fine. $10 to get in is not, you know what I mean? It's worth it. I think it was fun. It was a good time. I almost went yesterday, but I didn't. My mom was going to get really mad at me, so I didn't go. I was trying to find tickets to go down to Philadelphia. I was hoping the prices would really drop, you know, but they didn't drop enough to go. But I wanted to.
All the Knicks fans bought them up anyway.
I know,
dude. That was a
Did
New
you
York
guys
home crowd, man?
Did you guys see the video of the reporter from Channel 6 in Philadelphia reporting after the game?
Yes.
And like all the Knicks fans surround her screaming, and then she goes to the package and there's a woman crying on the video. Oh, I love this team so much.
Drinking up the tears of Philadelphia sports fans. Gotta love it.
And then you got Josh Hart being like, thought Philadelphia was a good sports town. Love it. Love it.
Yeah, it's great. There's very few things. I wrote a blog about, Boston sports, screw them. Yeah. And you know what? Screw Philadelphia too.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Just as much.
Exactly.
Yes.
They're high on that list.
If not
They're
more.
number one.
Yeah. I think
tell you what.
More than
Philly's at the
Boston?
top. Oh,
Really?
Philly's at the
Yeah.
top.
Yeah, Philly's definitely number one on my list.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, my son, he despises anything Philadelphia. Anything Philadelphia.
You've raised them correctly.
Oh,
Jason.
this kid. We have a good friend who's a Philadelphia Eagles fan or Philadelphia fan in general, but and he just like every time my son anytime he wears Eagles, he goes boo, boo. Oh yeah.
Well, that'll do it for episode 100. It was a pleasure.
Yes, it was.
We appreciate you listening. You can follow us at any of the socials. You can check out our website, throwingbagels.com. And you can email us at throwingbagels
Podcast
at
gmail.com.
gmail.com.
There you go. Look at that. You got it, Chris.
there.
Good job.
I was getting there.
And just one more thing.
Yes,
I
sir.
just want to wish my wife Leah a happy birthday.
Oh, wow. How about
Wow.
that? Just after Mother's Day, as a matter of fact.
Just
How about
after-
that?
Yep.
Happy
Works out well for
birthday.
him.
Happy birthday and happy Mother's Day, and happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there.
Yes.
So,
Ditto.
yeah, and that'll do it. So, hey, see you later.
Bye.
Bye.